Welcome, welcome, welcome to another edition of Sound Advice. Hope that you're having a wonderful day. And if you are, we're going to continue to have a wonderful day because now what we're going to get into is talking about the functions of the EQ. And what I mean by the functions of the EQ is the Q, the gain, the frequency knob, the and the filters, the knobs of the filters, and we're going to get into how these things work and how you can use these things to your advantage in clearing up the sound that you're trying to get put together in the mix. And that's what we're going to cover today. So I just want to be able to just to for you to be able to wrap your mind around all of these knobs, what they do, because once you understand these knobs, you'll understand any EQ that you ever mess with, no matter if it's hardware, software. You'll have an understanding of when you're turning that knob, what you're doing, and you'll know exactly what you're listening for. So without further ado, let's jump into my DAW and get down and dirty into learning the functions of EQ.
Okay, now that we had a listening example of how we can bring clarity using EQ, let's talk about the functions of the EQ. Okay, and I have these two EQs to help me with explaining the functions. Now we have with this EQ, we have several bands. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bands. And then if we include the low cut, that's 6. And if we include the high cut, that's 7. Okay. So this is how we can affect the signals that we're getting. So let's talk about frequencies. Frequencies is the moving of the dot. So if we turn this on, and let me give it a little bump so we can see it. See, we can move it wherever we want to. We can move it all the way back here, and we can go all the way up, all the way across the EQ spectrum. Okay, from 20 hertz all the way up to 20,000 kilohertz. Okay, and this indicates where we're at. We're in the 400 hertz range. Okay, we're in the 600 hertz range. All right, so that's what that does for frequency. The Q is we can affect how many other frequencies, because we're at the peak frequency of 166 hertz where this dot is. This is 166. We're at the peak. So now we not only are we going to affect this is what's going to get affected the most, but we also can have surrounding frequencies that we can affect as well. But it's not going to get affected as much as 166 hertz. But we can mess with other frequencies around it. So if we want to broaden out a Q up, we come down. And as you can see, these numbers come down to 0.47. We're broadening the Q. So see, now we're affecting more of the frequencies. And if we move it in more to say 6.18, now we're not affecting as many frequencies around 166. So that's what the Q is for. Okay, to what you want to affect around the frequencies. And normally for me, I find myself using a sharp Q, like something like this when I cut, because I don't want to affect too much around that. I really just want to affect this frequency and not too many other frequencies around it, because if I have it kind of broad, then I'm affecting some good stuff here and I'm affecting some good stuff over here. So because I'm cutting, I don't want to affect that good frequency, because me cutting here at 166, I'm going to kind of bring out these frequencies. So that's why I want it to kind of come in a little bit. Okay. So now I can bring out these frequencies a little more because I'm cutting at 166. But say, I can kind of test to see, okay, that sounds even better, or however. But be reminded with the Q affects how much other frequencies around that particular frequency you cutting, how much the Q is going to affect the other frequencies. Okay, that's around it. So that's why, you have your Q here. Okay, and then we have our gain knob, which is self-explanatory. I can, like I said, I can cut it or I can boost it up, whichever way that I want to go with my gain knob. Okay, and as you can see, it repeats itself. Frequency, gain, Q. Repeats itself again. Frequency, gain, Q. Now, let's talk about low cut or high pass, which however you want to coin it. Let's talk about it. Okay, so we have these 12 dB octaves. Okay, and what this means is how steep you want your slope. So as I click on 6 dB octave, this is what I get. See, my slope is a real gentle slope. Okay, and as I go to a 24 dB octave, now my slope is kind of aggressive. Okay, and then if I go to a 48 dB octave, now it's really rolling off. Okay, now what this means is that with the low cut, I'm letting high frequencies are being ignored and the low frequencies are getting all the attention, because as I move this, I'm cutting more of the lows out and getting more of the highs as I move this forward. And as I move it back, then I'm bringing back some of the lows. Okay, so what's good about being able to use this is that it helps clean up low end rumble. Okay, especially with vocals, because you can have vocals, the guy could or the gal could be performing, they hit the mic, boom, boom, and stuff like that, and you have all those things in there. Or you have where the vocalists, their vocals sound boomy, okay, and it's interfering with the low end. Okay, and it's not like their actual vote, it's just that the microphone, what is picking up. Okay, because you could have the AC could be running, and with a condenser microphone, it's going to pick that up. You could have a lot of low rumble stuff going on that the mic is just picking up. And to clean that up, which I would probably use a 24, just a kind of a aggressive slope. And, I would, okay, I'm cutting 110 hertz. Okay. And that clears up the vocals. Now I can take out a little bit of mud and stuff like that and so forth. So this is just kind of an example. And what you can do is play with it. Put a vocal or record yourself, and then just experiment with what you're hearing when you mess with the low cut. Okay. And the same thing goes for the high cut frequency. It just does something different. So instead of it letting the highs pass, it cut the highs and it let the lows pass through. But you still have the same kind of slopes. Okay? You still have the same kind of slopes here. And all it's doing is, because sometimes you have that real shrilliness, piercing noise, and a little bit of low pass. I mean, a little bit of high pass cutting, because sometimes I don't get that aggressive with it. I would probably start here and just be gentle with it. And you can cut some of that off. That shrilliness sounds. Now it's not kind of hurting the ears, because some instruments they get, you get to clean them up and then they get to and so you bring this in and it helps to shave off that shrilliness that you can get, and it shaves it off. Okay. And this is and then, like, if it's still kind of shrilly, okay, let me try this one. Okay, now I'm getting a more aggressive cut, a more aggressive slope. And with that more aggressive slope, then I can do what I need to do. But this is the functions of what you can do. So the Q, it narrows, and the frequency, it lets you pick your frequency, and then you have your gain where you can boost it or cut it. And guess what? It's the same thing here. Gain, frequency, Q. It's the same thing. Okay? And then if I hit the button here, I have my bell shape, which, let me go over that real quick, because this is what you call the bell. Okay? This is the bell. What you see here, that's the bell shape. Okay, now I can pick the bell shape, or I can pick a shelf with this one, or this one has this one we don't need to get into. I really can't explain it myself, so we're gonna not look at that. But you have what your bell shape, your low shelf. Okay, and with the low shelf, if we click on it, it's just like the high shelf. You're raising everything. So at 25, and if I go here up, I'm raising all the frequencies at 25 and behind 25. Okay? The same thing if I'm cutting. I'm shelving, but I'm cutting it. Now everything that at 25 and below, I'm and in front of 25, I'm cutting that. Okay, so that's what a shelf is. Okay, and then you have, like I said, we have our high pass, which is that, and then we have the bell. So you still have the same functionalities, it's just laid out different than what this one does. And I forgot to mention about the gain knob. Okay, I don't use auto gain. It's not really accurate, but it's like whatever kind of moves you start making, then you can hit auto gain and it'll kind of adjust. What it's supposed to do is to adjust the levels to keep it level matched. Okay, but I normally do that myself, and this is the overall gain, of so if I got some boosting going on, and now I'm bypassing in and out, and the signal is, the original signal is quiet, and the process signal, when I unbypass, the process signal is louder. Well, I can mess with my gain to bring my plug-in down to where now I can be more accurate in hearing what the EQ moves that I make are doing. Okay, and that's what your gain knob, and you have the gain knob over here as well. So this is like I said, they're different, but they do the same thing. And the only thing that's different about this one has a spectrum analyzer, where this one doesn't. So you can kind of see what frequencies and what's going on. You can get a visual. But like I say, don't get that. Don't look at that. Listen, trust your ears. Start learning to trust your ears, or keep trusting your ears, and don't use that stuff. Okay. And and that's why I really have this EQ, so that I won't be so that it forces me to hear what I need to hear, instead of me like trying to look and see like, oh, what's going on, and then I'm messing with I'm letting the spectrum analyzer tell me what I need to do, when sometimes that's the wrong move. And so that's why I trust my ears more than I trust the spectral analyzer. But anyway, this is the functionality of the EQ. Okay. So the Q, we know what the Q does now. We know what the gain knob does, and we know what the frequency knob does. Okay. And like I said, they're all the same. The only difference is, let me bring up one more EQ. Bring up a emulation of an analog EQ. I'll put this one in here real quick. Okay. Same thing. You have your bell shape. You got your shelving, and this knob, you pick where you want it to go. Okay. And you have, and with this, it tells you your frequency. You can do 47, you can do 68, you can do 100, you can do 150. But like, I want to do 102. No, you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to be at 100. Okay. But you still have, that, you have your bandwidth, like your Q. So you're having a bandwidth, and plus this is like your gain as well, and it is working together at the same time. So as turning up, you're messing with your bandwidth. As you turn down, you're messing with the bandwidth. And with this, you just have you got your bandwidth you're messing with. You have a boost, a cut, and you're out. Okay. And then you have a shelf and a bell. Okay. So you want it on the bell, you click bell. You want it on the shelf, you click the shelf. But it's the same. It's the same thing. But this is a more fixed, it kind of, have fixed frequencies than I can kind of mess around like I was doing earlier, messing around the whole thing. So, but it still serves the same purpose, and it does the same things. So, but it's just a little different, and the verbiage also is a little different from the other EQs that we were looking at. So don't be intimidated by these kind of EQs, because once you have an understanding of what a shelf is, a bell, high, low cut, high cut, once you have an understanding of those things, you'll understand these symbols when you see them. You'll know what these symbols mean. Okay, even if however they have it laid out, you'll know, because you didn't work with one EQ so much, and they're gonna have everything, the same things. The only thing, like I said, with these kind of EQs, everything is kind of fixed. With the high pass, it's a fixed 12, it's a fixed 16. You can't go in between that. That's the only difference. But will they clean up your sound? Yes, because it's an EQ. All right, so I hope that was helpful. We're going to get into some more examples. I think the next thing we're going to look at is frequencies we like and don't like. So let's continue and to get an understanding and to really understand what EQing is all about.
All right, welcome back. I hope you're enjoying this journey that we're on in EQing with a purpose. And just to, give, just reinforce the things that we've already talked about, the function, knowing the functions of the EQ and why we're turning the Q knob, why we're turning the gain knob, why we're turning the frequency knob, and knowing why we're doing so. Now you know what to listen for when you're turning these knobs, when you're mixing, and we need to have that understanding, because the better understanding that we have of why we're doing what we're doing, the better our mix will come out to be, meeting our end goals, I should say. Just on a quick note, I just want to remind you to please go check out soundadviceforyou.com. That's my website. Check it out, browse around. If it's mixing and mastering that you need, and you need to use my services, please reach out. And also, I have music on there. If some of my music, check out my music. If it's a song or two or three or four, the whole thing that you like of my album that I dropped called All or Nothing Volume One, check it out. And the music is free, download it for free, and everything like that. But we're just going to keep moving, and I just want to keep you encouraged that you will get this, you will have an understanding of this, and we're just going to keep moving forward with this series of mixing. I mean, not mixing, but EQing with a purpose. My name is Jeff. This is Sound Advice, and I'll see you on the next one.